biggest story of the weekend. It wasn't in the NFL, which is rare on an NFL weekend. It took place on Sunday morning, about 12 hours after Penn State lost to Northwestern in embarrassing fashion. I got wind of it, I want to say it was around 10 or 11 a.m. my time. Let me check my Twitter feed, actually. When I tweeted out, James Franklin finally fired. I don't want to say it was shocking, because I think after what took place over the weekend, it was almost like Penn State had no choice. Yeah, it was about 23 hours ago. 20 hours ago, excuse me. So it was about 11 a.m. local time here in Vegas. So just after lunch on the East Coast is when all this went down. And it was Pete Thamel. Credit Pete Thamel. He was the first retweet. He was the first. Wow, that tweet, Pete Thamel's tweet. I'll pull it up here now because I can. See, that's the beauty of this show, is I can actually pull up tweets. Look at this. Look how cool that is right there. Let me whoa. That was trippy. There we go. There you go. Pete Thamel's tweet, 10:57 a.m. local time here in Vegas. 18 million views. Sources: Penn State has fired James Franklin. And there's Funhouse, man. I'll tell you. Some of the reactions to this tweet, for those unaware, Funhouse is a X account that all they do is post Mike Francesa clips. Speaking of Sports Talk Radio, and he posted he replied to Thamel's tweet with a clip of Mike Francesa just absolutely obliterating James Franklin for kicking a field goal, or calling timeout before Georgia State kicked a field goal down 56-0. Really fun clip if you want to follow them. They're very entertaining. But there you go. Pete Thamel. Penn State has fired James Franklin. 10:57 a.m. local time here in Vegas. That's when it started. Then obviously all the reactions, all of the this, that, who are they going to hire next, blah, blah, blah. All that started after that. But I think the most important thing to mention here is the buyout, because that was the reason that I didn't think Penn State would go through with this. James Franklin has a $50 million buyout. In fact, on last week's show during Rise and Wine, I said he's not going anywhere because of the buyout. But that was before they lost to Northwestern at home on homecoming as a 21-point favorite. And I think at that point it was obvious that he had not only lost the drive to coach, like he had just looked like a defeated man at that point, but he kind of quit on the team. Like the play calling and just the way that he didn't show any fire on the sidelines. Like that's the one thing I love about college coaches is when you watch the sidelines, some of these coaches are absolute madmen. When you watch the sidelines with these college coaches, they are screaming and going crazy every single play. Even if it's something that doesn't necessarily go against them, they are absolutely going bananas. James Franklin just looked like he's, watching a game, just like hanging out on the field. He didn't show that fight. He didn't show that fire. And I think that's why this took place. I honestly think if Penn State beats Northwestern by a touchdown, barely, right? They get by the skin of their teeth. I think James maybe keeps his job. I think he keeps his job for the rest of the year if they go 6-6 or 7-5 and get bowl eligible and make it to a, I don't know, some random Cheez-It Bowl or something. I think he keeps his job for at least this year. Maybe at the end of the season he gets fired. But I think it was obvious that he had kind of quit on the team and he had lost the locker room. And at that point, Pat Kraft, the AD, has no choice. You have to make the move and you have to just swallow the money. Now, there's two factors at play here that I think are important. One, I do think firing him now is the right move because you get a head start on the hiring process. Now, who's Penn State going to hire? I have no freaking clue. No idea. I am not an insider. I have no, sources inside that athletic department. I am just like you. I'm a fan. I'm an alum. I hope they make the right hire, but I have no idea who they're going to hire. I know who I would hire. He's the guy head coaching Indiana right now, Curt Cignetti. I maybe would consider Lane Kiffin, but again, these are the top guys. I don't know if Penn State's going to shoot that high. I would assume they are. I think the reason that you make the hire now, part number 2, I think the reason that you make the fire right now is because you feel like you want to get a head start on this process. I think there are going to be multiple prolific programs firing head coaches over the next month or two. I think Florida's the next one to go. I think Billy Napier is probably going to be gone soon too. So this is a way for you to be a first mover in the space. Now, I know a couple of other programs have fired head coaches. I think Oregon State just fired theirs. I think there's been a couple of other lower tier teams that have fired head coaches, Arkansas, Sam Pittman. But let's be honest, Penn State is an elite job. It is a job that everyone is going to want if you are interested in moving on from your current situation. I don't know if Curt Cignetti is interested in moving on. That's the guy I would hire. I'm hearing a lot of, there's going to be some dark times for Penn State. This is going to be rough. Yeah, it might be a rough year. But with the transfer portal, if you hire the right guy, it might only be a year or two before you're back to national prominence. Again, look at what Curt Cignetti did at Indiana. They went into Eugene the other day and beat Oregon. And they didn't just beat Oregon. They whooped Oregon. Oregon had a pick six and an explosive pass. And they still couldn't keep it within one score of Indiana. They lost by 2 scores. They lost by 10. Indiana won that game handily. Indiana's a legit football team. We'll get to that a little later in the college football playoff predictions. But my point being, Curt Cignetti's a guy that you bring him in and you turn your program around immediately. I think there are other coaches that maybe are more intriguing X's and O's guys. Like, let's be honest, James Franklin, not a great X's and O's coach. I'm sorry. I don't know what he's been doing with this team for the last few years, but they continuously regress under the spotlight. And we thought this year they were set up to succeed. We thought this year was the year that they were going to absolutely cook with the coaching staff they had, with Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator, with the offense that they had, with all the players coming back, and it all just fell apart. Vinay, thanks for the question. He wants to know, why would people like Cignetti leave to coach at PSU? Because Penn State's got the resources, because Penn State's got the money, because Penn State is it's a premier job. Nothing against Indiana. What he's done at Indiana is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. But Indiana does not have the resources that Penn State does. It's just a fact. Here's the kicker. Here is, I think, the final conspiracy reason why this happened the way that it did. Because, again, I thought the buyout was a very crucial part of why this wasn't going to happen as quickly as it did. $50 million is a lot of money. And they're probably going to have to pay out Jim Knowles and Colton Nickey and all these other guys that are likely going to be let go at the end of the year, that are all under contract, that are all due buyouts. Penn State just signed a $300 million endorsement deal with Adidas. Penn State's been a Nike school for a long time. Adidas came in and said, we want Penn State. I don't know about all the details behind the scenes, but $300 million is a lot of money. And I would assume that windfall of cash is a reason why Pat Kraft thought they could afford to make the move. It's crazy how a guy like James Franklin is being so bad at his job is going to get paid out like he is. But that is the nature of college sports. That is the nature of these coaches. That is the nature of the buyouts. Weird situation, because part of me is sad that it is ending this way. James Franklin's been the coach of Penn State for a long time. This is not the way you want to go out. And Drew Aller, oh my God. It'd be one thing if Drew was still the quarterback of the team and for them to kind of limp along with an interim head coach over the next few weeks, make it to a bowl game, and for then Drew to make the next step to the NFL and leave on his terms. But for Drew Aller to also get hurt in this game and now be done for the year, I feel awful for Drew. I don't think he was given a chance to succeed. I think the vibes around the program this year were so bad that he was just right. There's a saying that if you play not to lose, that's worse than playing aggressively and making a mistake. And from everything I hear, Drew is just constantly getting chirped at. Don't make the mistake. Give everyone a chance to succeed. Don't make the critical error. Negative talk, negative talk, negative talk. Instead of, hey, dude, you're a 5-star with a crusher of an arm. You're a big, talented kid. Let it rip. I don't think that was how Drew was being coached. And that's, I think, a big reason why this is happening too. When you have elite talent and you are suppressing it because you don't want to make the big mistake, very conservative approach, to me that's worse than, hey, bro, you're a stud. Let her rip. We'll worry about the rest later. That's how I would coach Drew, but I just don't think those are the vibes in Happy Valley, and I think it was time for a change. And James Franklin, I wish you the best. It's been a good run, but you are not the guy to take this program to the next level, unfortunately. And the next level is winning a national championship. Period. End of story. Those are the expectations of Penn State. That is what we thought this year was going to be. And when you lose back-to-back games to UCLA and Northwestern, and you show no fight, no fire, and you just kind of hands up emoji, that's it. Pat Kraft was left with no choice but to pull the trigger and to make the move. So, James Franklin, salute, my friend. Don't really feel bad for you because you're getting paid $50 million over the next X amount of years to not coach Penn State. But it was a good run. And certainly the program deserved a lot better this year. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I have no idea who they're going to hire. But cheers to Coach Franklin. Cheers to Drew Aller. Didn't want it to see it end like this, but this is the reality that we live in. So that's it. That's how we open the show today. James Franklin, no longer the head coach of Penn State after a 12-year run.